everybody. Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundup with Bill and Ray. I'm Bill Clifford, Mindful Mortgage Solutions. This is Ray Gutierrez with Chase Sky Realty. How y'all doing today?
Howdy, everybody. Hope you're having a good day here.
So today we've got, we can jump right into the market really quick. Interest rates have been holding pretty steady, honestly. We're in the low to mid 6% range on most loans. In some cases I'm seeing it dip into the fives a little bit, but not much movement. It's a bit of a surprise because the inflation reports came out last week and were favorable. Inflation is still coming down, so that's good news. Hopefully we'll start to catch up. As far as what's going on in the market right now, in the news they're talking about inventory, right? Housing inventory. We've touched on this a bit, but the point that I thought was interesting today that I heard was that in a typical market, about 10% of all homes that are sold are new construction homes. In our market, because inventory is so low, because most people are not reselling their homes, they're just holding them and renting them. Currently, it's about 30% of homes sold are new construction. And that's pretty telling because new construction has been down historically over the past 10 years or so. So they're not building as many homes as they used to, and the homes they are building are a bigger percentage of what's being sold. So the total number on this is that there are about 500,000 homes available on the market, and in a normal market there'd be about 1.5 million available. So we are short of inventory, and that's probably why a lot of people out there, if you're shopping, are not seeing prices come down too much. So as we've been talking about, don't expect a crash unless they can do something about this inventory. If the builders, all of a sudden there's a boom, then that would be great. But the problem is that the cost to build is pretty expensive. And one other piece that's tied to this is that we're starting to see a bit of a credit crunch, credit tightening. So basically, there's just less lending going on, and there's a few reasons for this. For one, interest rates have gone up, right? I saw something that says the average interest rate on a credit card right now is 20.9%. 20.9%. That is the highest that it's ever been since they started keeping a record of this in 1994. So that's significant right there. They're also starting to see more credit card defaults. People are getting behind on their credit card payments. People are spending less money on their credit cards because people are just spending less money overall. So all of this is helping inflation, but it's also an indicator that people are starting to feel the crunch of the economy and inflation. So the slowdown is happening. The recession is happening if it's not already here. But one other piece on that too is we have seen mortgage guidelines get a little bit tighter on conventional loans as well. They're looking for higher credit scores and being a little bit more picky about the borrowers that they approve. Not too much, but they're just making it a little bit more expensive. The rates are a little bit higher than they were previously for somebody with the same scenario. So what can you tell us about what's going on in real estate land, Ray?
Yeah, so, tying into what you've been saying about inventory, we've been saying this for years, right? There's not enough inventory, specifically here in Southern California, right? There's a lot of people, there's not enough houses. And even though people have moved out of the state, supposedly, anybody who lives here certainly doesn't necessarily feel like that, right? There's still a lot of traffic, there's still a lot of people, there's still not enough houses to really go around. So even though there are fewer buyers in the market because of the things that are happening with interest rates and credit and the general economy slowing, it doesn't mean that home prices are going down significantly. but there are still some affordable areas, relatively affordable areas. And let's take a look at El Sereno. So El Sereno is a neighborhood in sort of like south, it's not quite East LA, but more like Southeast LA, in between Pasadena, Alhambra, and Highland Park, right in that area. And it's really one of the nicer areas just physically in the city, right? There's beautiful hills with lots of views and parks, and you can still get a pretty nice house there on a hill with a beautiful view for an affordable price. And it's probably the last neighborhood in LA where you can still get something like that.
At
So
least north of the 10.
yeah, at least north of the 10 for sure. Let's take a look at that. Boom. So this is El Sereno right here. You can see Monterey Park, Alhambra, San Gabriel, right? And let's kind of look year over year. So this is for February, March, and April, single family homes, 2022 versus 2023. So much less inventory, much less activity in the market. And this is kind of generally true across the city, right? As there are fewer buyers, interest rates are higher, there aren't as many people who are selling homes. So year over year, it's the same period last year versus this year, 54 sold listings versus 22. So that's down minus just about 60%. Average price actually down a little bit. So 853 to 768, down 10%. Median price down to just a little 2%. Yeah. So, there are deals to be had here. Let's take a look at some of these properties. So this property sold recently, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,390 square feet, sold for 1.2 million. There's only one photo of it. And then the next most expensive is $1,050,000, 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,239 square feet, and looks pretty nice and remodeled, right? You know, I was just looking at sort of comparable stuff in Echo Park Silver Lake. The median price in Echo Park Silver Lake is 1.5 million.
Right.
So you're talking about a big difference in terms of how much house you can get for the price. I've sold 2 houses in El Sereno over the last year or so, and actually 3. And everybody's pretty happy with the purchase because they were able to get a house that they liked, that is affordable, that's not breaking the bank, right? So, I mean, something like this in another neighborhood in LA, it's going to be way more than $1,050,000, right? Here's another one, $1,025,000, 5 beds, 3 baths, 1,700 square feet. So, good sized houses. You can see there's a view, right? And that's one of the things that El Sereno really offers, are these houses on hills with views. And, this looks like it's not too spacious on the inside, but it's also, not totally run down either. Looks pretty decent, and you can do some remodeling and really bring this up to modern standards, but looks totally nice, livable.
I mean, 1,700 square feet is pretty good size for central LA.
That's right, for something that's on a big lot like this with an amazing view, right? Going down, 4 beds, 3 baths, 1,488 square feet, $1,010,000, nice yard. Totally remodel on the inside. You're really not going to find, in my opinion, better value than in El Sereno right now, where you can get views like this. Is pretty nice. I like this. 3 beds, 1 bath, 1,000 square feet, $1,600,000 what it went for. Nice lush yard, pretty private. Like something like this in Silver Lake, Echo Park, Los Feliz, this would be like $1.6 million.
Right.
Skylight, nice exposed beams. Pretty cool house, So going down, 900,000, 895, 889, 845, 825, 775, right? And then you see like down going further, we've got fixers for $500,000. This is probably a total teardown, right?
Sure.
Well, maybe not. Maybe you can just do like a big remodel on that. Wasn't actually looking as bad as I assumed that it was going to look on the inside.
I mean, possibly. And the thing is, like, if you're, the upside is about $1 million. So, can you remodel one of those things for $200,000-$300,000?
Yeah, this one went for 475. Right. You can't even see the pictures, so it might tell you about the condition that it's in, but still
right.
hard to find something in LA, any type of investment for, less than $500,000. So 475, 525, 650. This went for 654, 2 beds, 1 bath, 867 square feet, 876 square feet. Let's take a look. Totally cute, right?
Yeah, it's got the gray floors, if you like that.
Yeah, it's got the common gray floors. So we see a lot of similar finishes in some of these flips. This looks like a flip. And that's because, the construction companies, the developers, they're all buying from the same places and they're all trying to make their margins, right? So they use a lot of the same materials. But again, if you don't have a large family and you are tired of renting and you want to buy something and you want to get into the market, 2 beds, 1 bath, 876 square feet. It's got a yard. Like usually like in other parts of LA, you'd be lucky to get a condo at this price.
That's true.
Right.
It's true.
This is like a pretty nice little yard.
Yeah, and I just typed up the numbers. I mean, you put down 10% on that, you're probably looking at $4,200 a month or something, which probably not much more than what you would pay to rent it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So in terms of looking for areas where there's value, where it makes more sense to buy than it does to rent, even with these higher interest rates, El Sereno definitely offers a lot of that. Like, again, 845,000 here, 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,248 square feet. Pretty nice house for that price. Like, you wouldn't be able to find something like this in other parts of the city for under $1.2 million.
Yeah, El Sereno is, I like how convenient it is to the downtown, Pasadena, kind of right in between the middle. They also have that Debs Park over there, which is great hiking, and yeah, I mean that's a good spot, and definitely not as overcooked as Highland Park. I would say this is probably kind of like the next Highland Park, with the exception that there's not a lot of like retail kind of stuff going on there.
Not yet, but as people buy homes and people spend money there, then there will be, and it's
the yoga, the coffee shop and the yoga studio are soon incoming. Am I right?
Right. And it's a 5-minute Uber to Highland Park, right? So if you want to be able to go out in a place like Highland Park where it's all the trendy restaurants and all that stuff is happening, which is crazy to me because I grew up there, so I saw it change, right? I literally lived in Highland Park, the first 20 years of my life, and it was not like that. People who are new to LA and who think like, oh, what a cute little neighborhood, that's not what it was like before.
And even 10 years before that, Echo Park was pretty scary in its own right. Yeah,
that's right. So you can get into a neighborhood like El Sereno for a price like this, where you can get a really nice, comfortable house with a great view that is 5 minutes to Highland Park, 5 minutes to South Pasadena, easy access to the freeway. You're still in LA proper, and it's relatively quiet. There's not a lot of traffic. I was actually, we have a good friend who lives in El Sereno, who bought a house from us last year. Beautiful house on a hill, great view. And I was driving there the other day, and the thing that struck me was there's not a lot of traffic. I'm driving around in LA, and I'm not stressed out about bumper to bumper traffic. I live in Echo Park. You live in Echo Park.
Mhm.
And you know that there are times of the day when, if you're trying to go in any certain direction, like you're going to be backed up, and it's going to be really, really annoying and stressful.
Even in my neighborhood, people are trying to avoid the main street, and so there's a bunch of cars on the side streets. It's annoying, especially when you're out walking your dog. But what are you going to do?
That's right. Yeah,
Los Angeles. It is
it's
also
LA.
about to be 70 degrees today, and so I'm not going to complain about that. One question for you, Ray. Where is the next El Sereno? How do you identify neighborhoods that are up and coming? Because I mean, I'm sure that's kind of $1 million question right there, but as these things have changed, we both watch different neighborhoods come around and become hip and trendy and expensive, and excellent places to invest in real estate. What do you think are some of the main things to look out for when trying to find a neighborhood that maybe hasn't made that transition yet?
That's a good question. So we'll talk about El Sereno, right? And one of the reasons why I believe in that neighborhood is just take it to the basics, right? The natural beauty of the neighborhood, right? It's surrounded by hills. It's got great views. It's got great parks. That stuff counts for a lot, and that
Mhm.
stuff's not changing. That's not going away, right? So then you look at freeway access. A lot of the time, people want to buy a home in LA. They want to live in LA, but they don't want to be in an area that's, number one, overly expensive, and number two, hard to access other parts of the city from. El Sereno has great access to all of the major freeways, right? So whether you want to go to the west side, whether you want to go downtown, whether you want to go south to Long Beach, whether you want to go further east, it has easy access to all those things. So somebody who wants to be in LA and has a job here or there, but still wants a quiet neighborhood that's pretty and kind of like off the beaten path a little bit, it's great for that. So people start to go to places like that. That's one of the reasons why Highland Park blew up. Another thing to look out for is the commercial corridors, right? So in Highland Park, it's York Boulevard and Figueroa. These big long commercial stretches where there's a lot of mom and pop businesses that either are going to, somebody else is going to take over and put something new there, new and exciting and fresh, or they're going to evolve and up their game, and be that attractive boutique place that people go to, and they've been like longtime neighborhood stalwarts that people love, right? So there's a commercial corridor where there's already good places and there's room for improvement. El Sereno has that.
Yeah.
Huntington Boulevard, right? Definitely like has a lot of those places, and it's primed for growth. And then you look at the community itself, right? Is it mostly families, right? Is it a lot of families, or is it a lot of transplants? If it's a lot of transplants, then you can expect that the neighborhood might not take off in a certain type of way because the culture is not going to be there,
Mhm.
right? Like the sort of people coming to LA to, like, we'll say, make it in Hollywood or something like that, right? Um, those people come in and out. They're generally renters. They're not longtime homeowners. If you look at a place like El Sereno, same thing happened in Highland Park. A lot of families, a lot of people who are maintaining their houses and who have been there for a long, long time, that create a real community vibe. And people like that. People are looking for that. So if you're, moving to LA and you really want to set down some roots, and you want a house in a community where it feels like a community, and it feels like, okay, there's families here, people who maintain their homes, that's going to keep the real estate value solid and keep it growing, then that's going to be one of the key factors. And then there's what other developments are happening there. Are there big developments happening in that area? And in El Sereno, there are. right? There's a lot of undeveloped land. So in those hills, that's prime real estate, and there's a lot of developments happening there, whether they be for multifamily or individual houses. It's probably slowing down a little bit right now just because of the economy, but there is money being put into that area that's going to attract more people to come and live there. So those are the things that I think, you should look out for. Does the area have natural beauty? Is it centrally located enough to where you get easy access to the rest of the city? Does
Mhm.
it have a commercial corridor that's primed for more development for new and exciting places to come in? And then are there signs of big developments taking place? Is there investment happening in that community? In a place like El Sereno, all of those things are happening. So, there's a long tail to these things. Maybe it takes 5 years, maybe it takes 10 years, but
Mhm.
it does happen. And what you see are opportunities for people to still buy houses that are affordable and to get that appreciation to where you got in on the neighborhood before it exploded and before it all of a sudden became unaffordable, like where we are right now, right?
Mhm.
Being in Silver
Mhm.
Lake Echo Park, to where even just a few years ago, median price was million, 1.1. Now it's 1.5,
Right.
right? And what's a mortgage payment on $1.5 million?
With 20% down, you're looking at like at least 9,000 and $10,000.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of people out there that can afford that.
Right.
You're talking about, like, you're getting into higher earners. There's fewer and fewer people like that. Whereas, you go to something like El Sereno, all of a sudden there's way more people that can afford something like that. So,
Mhm.
um, in LA, it's tough because there's so many people here. It's not like there's like a lot of undiscovered area here in
Sure.
LA, right?
Sure.
There's people everywhere. I wouldn't expect like South Central LA to be the next big place, just because South Central LA has a long way to go in terms of the investment that needs to happen there
Mhm.
to make that into a place where people are gonna, like, all of a sudden go, oh, all right, I'm willing to spend a lot of money to live there and believe that this is really going to appreciate and get that return on investment for me.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have the natural beauty, right? There are
Right.
parts of
Right.
LA that are just like really flat.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if you just have like really flat parts of the city like that, it's never going to have that sort of like inspirational feeling to home buyers who are there and they go like, oh wow, like this just looks really nice.
Right. Right.
So I think neighborhoods where it has natural beauty, to me, that's kind of like the most important thing, where it's got character, it's got natural beauty, and then there's investment happening there.
Mhm. Mhm. Good. I like that. I like that. And I think I think the investment happening is a good point too. Like that. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, what do you need to look out for? Crime, homelessness, uh, stuff like that. But chances are, if there's investment happening, if you know it has some of these other elements, those other negative factors are probably either cooling or they're going to start making when people dump money into something, they're going to try and ensure that their investment is protected, right? So
Yeah, it's also like, in a neighborhood like El Sereno, I don't have the stats in front of me, the crime stats in front of me, but I spend time there. I live here, right? It doesn't, again, here, median home price 1.5 million. Their
mhm,
median home price about 800,000, $900,000.
right.
It feels like there's more crime here.
Yeah, yeah, you could be right.
It's busier, there's more people, there's a lot of homeless people, there's a fair amount of crime, that's happening all over the place. And it doesn't seem like the neighborhood that you would think might be inclined to being more dangerous and having more crime feels that way. Honestly, it feels calmer when I go there. It feels more like just a classic chilled out neighborhood than it does here, and it costs, the homes are half as expensive over there.
Sure. Yeah. I know what you mean. Well, I like this. I think we should try to maybe target some other areas that are up and coming or making their way, or that we think may do that in the future.
Yep. You look like a detective right now, by the way, with your
I
lighting.
know. I swapped out the cowboy hat for my fedora, but I don't know. I think the cowboy hat is a better look, but I like the feather.
Well, you got anything else today?
I don't think so. I think, to kind of wrap it all up, the same messages apply, right? I mean, the inventory is low, which is keeping pressure on prices to remain high, and interest rates are, slowly but surely getting a little bit better. And if you can pay off your credit card debt, try and do that, because the interest rates are brutal right now. That I did see one video recently, and they were talking about how it may be a good time to refinance and pay off your credit card debt or your car payments that have higher interest. I don't buy that, but even though a home equity line of credit, the interest rates are in the 9s right now, that could be something to look into if you're looking to consolidate some debts, or just lower your overall monthly outgo and give yourself a little bit of extra cushion in case the recession does impact you more significantly than you're anticipating.
Right. Yeah. Good point. It's important to be aware of those things. Maybe in the next show we'll sort of go through different programs and kind of like hacks that might be available for people that they may not know about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another thing I've been reading a lot about recently is the result of the high interest rates is that you can get a straight savings account with a return of 5% or better. They also have these fixed CDs. 6-month CD will give you better than a 5% return. So if you got some extra money sitting in the bank, definitely a good time to look into investing that money into some sort of secure place. CD, treasury bonds, those kind of things the rates are high right now, and so if it's a bummer if you have to pay those rates, but if you're receiving return on it, then it's not a bad thing. So other side of the coin, right?
There you go. All right. Well,
okay. Yeah. Everybody have a great day. Ray, adios. See you next time.
Adios. See you next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.